Call the Stark County Commission meeting to order. It's Monday, June 3rd, 2024. It's 9 a.m. We do the pledge first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The agenda, is there any changes to the agenda? I guess I would want to we'll be adding KLJ and then and Highland Engineering will not be here. Anything else? Not, then I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, you have the minutes of our last meeting for May 9th, 2024. Is there any corrections to the minutes? I'll look for a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Motion to second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. Next, then we have accounts payable. Is there any questions, accounts payable?
The May 23rd minutes.
Oh, I guess we got May 23rd minutes too. We had the special meeting. May 23rd, is there any corrections to that meeting, just for the opening bids on the paving project?
So should have I identified the minutes I approved for June 3rd, or for
May 9th.
May 9th? I would.
I think I
I
said,
think you
I
did,
stated
yeah.
May
I
9th on
heard-
there.
I specifically heard that.
Mr. Chairman, I would
yes.
move to approve the minutes from the May 23rd, 2024 meeting.
That's second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay, now accounts payable. Is there any questions, accounts payable? If there's no questions, then I look for a motion to approve the accounts payable.
I'd make the motions to approve accounts payable.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, then Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Masser,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
The chair votes aye, motion carried. And on park board items, I guess we proved there was 3 items for, there was for Rough Rider was 85,000, and then the 2 other ones for 3 and 2,000, right? So you need to prove the 90,000 for that.
And the 40 or 8,
Yes, so we've got, what is our total?
that other,
That's on the accounts payable already, so.
oh, got it. Thank you.
So you're just looking for the 90,000?
Yes, the 90,000 we approved for the events.
I'd make a motion to approve the 90,000 for the Home on the Range fundraiser jackpot, 3,000, Rough Rider Days, 85,000, and Diamond J Productions for 2,000.
Do you have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah.
Second?
And this is in addition to the regular accounts payable.
Yep.
Yep, got it.
Other discussion? Roll call then. Commissioner White,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Masser,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Next, we have years of service recognition. We have 3 this month. I don't think any of them are here, huh? Oh, we got
Just held in.
just Eldon, I guess.
Just Eldon.
The Sheriff's Department, and Eldon Mayor, Lieutenant Eldon Mayor, congratulations, 5 years of service with us.
Be careful.
Also, another deputy, Kevin Eldridge, for 10 years of service, and he's not here today, but look up, Sheriff. And also, the road department, Chad Messer has 15 years of service on there. He's not here today. I'll give that to the road department.
Corey?
Okay, next to the sheriff's report. Did you get a copy to us? Do you have a copy for us or not?
I sent it to Karen.
On Sunday.
Well, it was
Okay.
the first of the month. What do you
What time do you come to work today?
He's wondering.
So no, would be the answer to your question.
Okay.
Nonetheless, good morning.
Morning.
May highlights for the Stark County Sheriff's Department. We had 1,560 calls for service. This is down from 1,845 from last year. Part of that decrease, I would say, of course, we still have the one man down. He's still down south with the guard doing his thing at the border. We also had a plethora of trainings this month, as well as our vacation time, trying to meet that or beat that June 1st deadline that we have in the county. So to use up their time. So a lot of going on this month. And 186 traffic stops. That's down from 279 last year. 337 public relations stops. That's down from 350 last year. 21 bar checks. That's up from 15 last year. 6 theft-related calls for service. This is down from 10 last year. 14 canine usages. Part of those trainings were obviously canine-related, and then Thor should be back on the street this week, we hope. He has an appointment with the vet tomorrow. 27 school zone patrols, 8 truck reg stops, and she participated in 56 additional calls for service. Responded to 14 accidents. One of those was pedestrian, 0 fatality, 3 hit and run, 6 injury, 4 property. Had 13 prisoner transports, 9 court transports, 2 medical, 0 juvenile, 1 assist, and 1 mental health transport, which is low, which is good. Civil Division had 207 attempts. 34 of those were subpoenas, 145 were civil papers, 7 were criminal papers. There were 66 total arrests, and 46 of those were warrants served. You guys tabled that speed limit request last meeting. Is that something we can decide on this meeting? Al and I were speaking about that before the meeting today. So the concern is 109th there, especially coming from the north, traveling south. You get to 33L or just before 33L, you're coming over the hill. It's completely blind coming over the hill. And then there's a driveway right on the other side of that. Lots of complaints with the August House there about speeding and other things. They're looking to make that, residents in that area where the road is very narrow, are making, and I think it's a valid request to make that 35 miles an hour up to city limits, which is right around, which would be city 37th Street. I think that's 34th for us. Al, if you can confirm that, I'm not positive, but I think that's right. There is a 45 mile an hour speed limit sign when you come off 10th Avenue East, turning right onto 21st, which is east, and heading that direction around the curve towards the August House. There aren't any other signs there that I was able to see. And then, of course, when you're coming from the north, it's assumed that it's 55 miles an hour, so there's a contradiction there. But we would like to see, like I said, a 35 on the county-city line there, and probably all the way to 32nd Street. This would be staying consistent with what we've done on 107th as well.
What's the I think there's, the difference between 107 and 109 is the number of vehicles. I don't know what the traffic count out on 109 is.
Potentially, but there's also several more residences in this area. The road is much more narrow. Again, you have that blind hill coming over the top. There's a lot of, supposedly, what I've speaking to the residents, there's a lot of oil field traffic and whatnot coming into the Sundance Cove subdivision that like to come from the north.
And you're proposing to start the 35 at 34th?
32nd. 34th going north, 32nd coming south.
So for 2 miles.
Yeah,
Mile stretch.
approximately, yes. I would like to go further south, but that's city limits. And that may or may not be something I'll approach them on.
What is the city at, 45 there?
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I think 45 is a safe speed limit. Up from 32nd to 34th, if I had, the traffic counts or some numbers, and I don't know, Al wants to chime in, if it warrants dropping it another 10 or not, I'd want to.
We've got the capability of counting traffic. In our traffic counter also, it'll take time of day and also speed.
Maybe we should do that first.
On 107th, what was that speed reduced to?
It's 45, excuse me, it's 45 after you get past the residential subdivision, all the way till we get over the hill. Past, it's probably 33rd or so, then it goes back to 55.
Okay.
But it's probably the last 3/4 of a mile of 107 is 35. Then it's 45, then it goes back to 55.
So the houses on this here, it looks like it's a short stretch of houses, correct? In a
Well,
mile?
yes, but there are other there is a subdivision being built, so there'll be several more houses in that area. And maybe Neil can
Yeah.
clarify as to how that's coming along, but
Well, but we couldn't do that south of 34th. That's not going to be our jurisdiction.
there's some being, there's not some,
Yeah, there's a bunch of lots in there that will eventually be developed. I think the only connectivity is twice. I know for sure on 37th connects all the way through Rochelle to
Correct. Yes.
but I don't know if 35th does or not. I can't remember.
There's two paved roads that are running through the rush hour now from,
So it's 35th and 37th then, I would guess.
Yes, the middle one doesn't go through. Yes,
Right.
you're correct.
Got it, okay.
And is there any shoulders on that road?
There is not.
There's a stretch of it there, probably from 34th to before that subdivision. They're
Until it
pretty
turns
steep.
gravel.
It's paved, but it's pretty steep.
And mailboxes out on the road?
Correct. And you guys all know when you mark 35, obviously that
We go
means
45.
45 to the motoring public, so.
What, and it's the people that live there that are requesting this?
Correct.
The way it would be when you get on 21st after 10th to be 45, then you go to 35 and then back to 45 and then maybe 55. I mean, it's pretty hard to figure out how fast to drive if you change it 3 times along the way.
I guess that's my concern. I'd like to see us have so we don't do what we did out in Highway 10 where we change something and then the data says, don't change it. So maybe we could, how long does it take you?
We can put the counters out for a week, 2 weeks, a month. I
Okay.
mean, we can set them out for 2 weeks, so we get to 2 full weekends, and then I can have it by the next meeting, what the average speed is, how many cars per day, and you can tell if it's school buses, semis, motorcycles. It's pretty sophisticated what it counts.
Yeah, and then maybe we should check with the
City.
August House, make sure there's 1 or 2 events in your study so that we can see how that,
Sure.
during that period of time.
Can we compromise here, guys? I hate to kick this count. There's some very adamant people about this. And And I hate to kick the can down the road. And the problem being, right now, when you're coming from the north, it's 55. It's not marked. It's assumed to be 55. Can we make the compromise of 45 at this time? Let it roll for like that for a while and then
So.
see if we need to change it?
From 32nd, he's saying, starting at 32nd.
Correct.
Going south, you would change it from 55 to 45.
Yes, 45 the whole road all the way back to 10th Avenue East.
That would give us time too to see if there's an August event. Then we'll know exactly how many cars, because we can put them on either side. If they go north, if they go south, we'll be able to catch them.
So changing the 55 to the 45, that's gravel in that area?
Gravel and pavement. It's
Okay.
both. Like I said, at 33L, just north of 33L, it changes from gravel to pavement.
Does the city have counters available too, or are we the only ones?
I'm not sure. We've got two of them of our own. And I could maybe get some more from our neighbors if we want to put more than two out.
I think if we just did it in that residential area, that would be fine.
I think if we put a 45 coming back into the city for now, that would leave some of the problem.
It's a good start.
Right here.
Then we could start enforcing and educating then enforcing. And thus doing that, increasing our presence out there.
So start at 32nd? Yeah.
So it's 1 mile approximately that you want to change from 55 to 45, you're proposing?
Well, like I said, there's no signs coming from the north, so I think people are assuming it's 55 all the way to Coves Court because there's nothing marked otherwise, which legally it is 55. But there is the one sign from the city saying 45 the other direction.
So we'd put like a reduced speed sign, a 45 mile an hour, so there'd be,
You wouldn't have
Two
to put
signs?
you wouldn't have to put a reduced
No.
speed sign because it would be all 45.
okay.
So once you go southbound there off of 32nd, then it would be 45, so it would be consistent from 32nd all the way into
The city limits.
10th Avenue.
Okay.
And we would still do the traffic study.
And we'll do that. I already got text to Todd. He'll get that this week yet.
Is 21st 45 there?
Yes.
All the way to
Yeah,
10th?
it's 40.
Yes. Yep.
It's not signed very well. That don't.
Do you propose any new signage put up coming south?
Yes,
Okay.
right off of 32nd, whatever the mandate is.
I guess I would propose then for that 55 mile an hour area to be reduced to 45 mile an hour and being consistent with the rest of the route all the way into city limits.
So you're talking from 32nd then south, right?
Correct.
Your motion then? You're making a motion?
And it's a short area, it looks like.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion to have a second.
I'll second it.
A second. Any other discussion?
I guess the picture you sent over from 32nd to 33rd, which is the turnoff to August House. Are there residents from 32nd to 33rd?
There, if I remember correctly, there's one or two, yeah.
I mean, I'd like to personally, I'd like to have the data before we do the change. I can understand if we want to do the change to 45. I don't think that's unreasonable, but I don't want to get in a situation where we reverse what, similar to what we did over on Highway 10.
Any other discussion?
Could we start at 33rd with 45? I don't want to micromanage it. I mean, this is between the road department and the law enforcement, but
It'd be a lot closer because there's that 1 mile, but whatever you guys decide to do,
yeah.
it's up to you guys.
It's 1 mile, right?
The 32nd, August House is on 33rd. And when you go north to 33rd, there's one house, Norm Bishop lives there on the east side.
Okay.
Would you,
So would it be more appropriate to look at from the August House south into,
My suggestion and opinion is that you guys do 45 the entire length to get people used to driving 45-ish on that road consistently all the way in. It's not as though we're gonna be up on that gravel writing tickets. If they are a little more towards the standard, the typical standard in the county up there, but that is my suggestion.
and you see that when you go up north of Stark County, a lot of those gravel roads are all 45 anyway, right? Correct? Because of the
fif-
traffic?
A lot of them are 55, but
Okay.
unless otherwise marked, yes.
Yeah. So that road is another mile north of August House, right? Correct?
Correct.
no.
Chairman, I'd call for the question.
Okay. We're gonna go roll call on this one, I think. Commissioner White,
Yes.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Masser,
No.
chair votes yes. Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Rough Rider Day is obviously coming up. It's going to be a very busy time. The dates are a little different this year. Everything's a little bit earlier. But we have most of our overtime slots filled. Lisa, I did order a couple more wands for the fairgrounds, or I think we're going to order them today. So get those coming to go in conjunction with your metal detectors you have going up out there. We did help with the flags in the cemeteries again. Brian Benish, obviously his daughter Holly works for us, and she asks that a couple of us come help every year, and we're certainly proud to do that for the Memorial Day holiday. So we did participate in that again as well. This weekend was kind of one of those examples again, and we're seeing it more and more and more, where the city of Dickinson is completely wrapped up in one or two calls with all their manpower and basically having us take calls for the city. I worked all weekend, and that happened on two separate instances. So we're seeing that happen more and more, just an FYI, where we're getting wrapped up in having to take, not necessarily take over for them, but you know what I mean by filling in for them while they're dealing with serious incidents. So FYI on that. Any questions? Thank you.
So when you guys fill in for the city and help the city out, that affects your manpower at all?
Well, of course it does. So obviously our main responsibility is Stark County as a whole. Obviously Dickinson is in Stark County, so certainly in our purview to help do those things. But you know, we're also serving as the police department for the city of Belfield with that contract we have, and we have other responsibilities as well. But obviously that draws us in and takes away from what we're doing out in Richardson, Gladstone, South Hart, Taylor, in those areas. So.
And the city's just so shorthanded, they can't take care of it? Or
Part of it is shorthanded. I know their staffing levels are coming back up, so there's some positivity there. So, maybe they'll see some more in the future, but these calls are just so intensive that they're sucking the whole shift into it. So I don't know if that's going to help having, full staff or not, but
okay, thank you.
thanks.
Okay, thanks. Next, the road department, Al Heiser.
Well, good morning, everyone. Just a few items here. I'm actually attending the city commission meeting in Gladstone tonight, so maybe we can kind of get their senior center addressed and maybe get a solution there. There's one other issue I brought to my attention over there is a city street right by the fire hall. All the water heads westbound, dumps over the bank. And right by the bridge, there used to be a little, I think it was a Sears Roebuck house right there. The water is, they've poured concrete and there's concrete chunks, so I don't know. I think it's the city problem, but I'll address that because I had a guy going to build a house there and he's concerned about all the water that comes, and the only way a guy could is put a drain in and kick it all the way down to the Enchanted Highway, but
Is this Gladstone, correct?
yes, yeah. And it wouldn't be a cheap fix, but I mean, that's the only way I can see to take care of it because all the streets are pointed that direction and there's no change in them. As far as if anybody wants to come with me tonight to that meeting, you're sure welcome to, but if not, I'll take care of it on my own. Pardon?
What time is it at?
It's at 6 o'clock
At the senior center?
at the city. It's a city commission meeting. I figured I stopped there last week to visit with them, and they suggested I got an agenda, so that way we can kind of hopefully get it figured out. It's been going on long enough. As far as the road crew, we're out hauling scoria south of Belfield. Hopefully we'll finish up there in about another week or so. Finally this week here, we got our full crew back after we changed our vacation time to not to have more than 240 after June 1st. Last year was a problem. This year it's getting better, but seems like we still got a fair amount of guys gone this last few weeks into May, but hopefully it'll get better. I'm kind of excited. We got a new hire out of Belfield. A young gentleman lives right there in town, just bought a house there. He's experienced blade operator, truck driver, CDL doubles and triples and tankers, so he's that'll really be nice to get somebody right there for this time of year is not so bad, but come winter time when we could have some emergency with snow, that'll be good to have him there. Other than that, I really don't have anything else. I'll let our engineers kind of give you the updates where they're at with their projects, and I know Jeremy and I are pretty excited. We got all our contracts back from the DOT, so that's been really good. So
I do have a quick question, speaking of speed limits. So on Highway 10, we did the deal where we went east of town, 45 in and out. So now we've noticed at Perry Ridge, or the subdivision, that there's reduced speed. We reduce it to 45 right past 107. But on the way out, it's 45 all the way out to Prairie Ridge. Is that what we kind of agreed on?
I think what we decided to do when we get to turn lane there and we're going to work on that there is kind of get it fixed up. So I know it's been kind of like you said, we changed the speed limit and other issues come along the way.
Yeah. So
People are used to one thing, and when you change something, they have a hard time. But we do got a plan for that.
okay.
And it'll be consistent according to our manual that we have to follow.
All right. Thank you.
Other than that, thank you.
Thanks, Al.
Is anybody here from Interstate Engineering? They on the phone or not? Okay. We'll go on to KLJ then.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I'll give you a brief update on our project. So the roundabout project, we're currently working on traffic control, a little plant production, and the environmental document. So we submitted the culture report a couple months ago to the DOT, and we're waiting on comments there, or the SHPO concurrence if they sent that off. For the chip seal, I think a lot of people are wondering about that project. That one started today. They started just west of Richardson. They were gonna do that stretch to Taylor today. That chip seal should take, they are estimating 4 or 5 days to do the chipping, and then they gotta follow that up with a fog seal. That'll probably take another 4 or 5 days. I mean, it's all weather dependent and if they can get their oil, but that's kind of their estimate. After the fog seal's done, you'll get a temp striping on it, and then it's gotta wait 2 weeks after the fog to do the permanent striping for the epoxy. So that's kind of rough schedule on that job. Other than that, we had completed a couple plat reviews for Steve and sent him comments on them. So does anybody got any questions or?
No questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll do Northern Plains Engineering then.
Good morning, Commissioners. Few little updates for you on these box culverts on 131st over by Belfield. The south site, the box culvert's in. The north site, they're planning to do that tomorrow, so making pretty good progress, and hopefully if it goes well by the end of the week, that second north site, the box culvert should be in and backfilled. So still got some road to build on both sites, but the next couple weeks that should start to wrap up, I would think. Also, 41st and 109th and also 114th, that project. Liebachuk Construction is building that one. They have the road of 114th kind of rough graded. They got some approaches to clean up and some finish work, but that's pretty much built out on 114th. I think next week they'll start on the 109th and 41st and 109th portion probably next week. Design projects, that one that was bid a week and a half ago, the paving project, 32nd, 107. Alden mentioned we got all the paperwork in. There was program agreement has been approved, and I know the update shows that there's another form, the contract concurrence request, that has also been approved. I think that was approved on Friday, so your update's a little incorrect there, but as far as the starting date, we don't really know. My only guess would be July or August at the earliest. It could be October, but I don't think it'll happen any sooner than July. That's just kind of my hunch on that one. So as far as the bid opening itself, I should maybe just recap that. The low bid was about 7.2. If remember, there's about 7.5 million available, so it should all be covered. There's a little bit of engineering that's not included in that bid, of course, but should be covered with everything. There shouldn't be any money, tax money, I guess, used for that. It should just all be covered with the flex funding. So any questions on that or anything else? It's kind of slowly moving along with the DOT. There's all kinds of agreements and paperwork, which we didn't quite realize the magnitude of it, but you get $7 million or so. I guess there's a few paperwork shuffle you got to do. So hearing nothing, I guess I'm done. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next we have Brent Jordan. Is he on the phone or? Okay.
Anybody know what the issue was?
He did talk to me on this quite a while ago. Did he talk to you, the sheriff? There was some issues with the neighbors shooting fireworks on it quite regular and spooking his horses. Does that mean them into?
I suspect he'll be here at some point today, because he said he was coming, but I guess his point being that these fireworks are getting louder and louder and bigger, and he's having trouble with his horses, and he's also worried, or has concerns, as many others do, about fire issues as well, so I'll let him explain that, I guess.
Sounds like it's happening more than just at 4th of July time too, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Okay, next is gonna go to planning and zoning then.
Good morning, Chairman Francha, Commissioner Steve Josephson, County Planner. You have you have one application in front of you, and that is, let's see. You have one application in front of you, and actually that one is from last month.
Yeah.
So,
Different than what we have on our computer here.
okay. No, this is a request to rezone, to combine two plats in the Buffalo Heights subdivision. They want to combine it and make it one. They want to combine it and make it one lot so that they live on one. They want to build a pole barn on the other. You know, they're both platted lots, so they need to come through the minor subdivision plat process to combine the two of them. Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff recommend approval, and I am here to answer any questions. And like I said, that's not it. This is in Buffalo Heights. This was from last.
So,
Those are all from last month.
so Steve, while we're finding the right picture, I do have a question. So the requirement to do a minor subdivision plat is so that they can own an adjacent lot and put up an accessory structure.
They're already own both lots, but you can't have an accessory residential structure sit on a lot, you know,
Yeah.
by itself.
Okay, so my question is the requirement we make to make this happen? I see they had to have Highlands, was it, the engineering company, go out and do the survey and the plot, or the minor subdivision plot.
Right.
So I guess the concern there, he just left. We sent that plot over for comments, of which we make the applicant pay for that comment, correct? So I'm just wondering, why can't we do this administratively?
There's nothing I had asked about that a number of years ago. There's nothing in the Century Code that permits the county to do that.
There's nothing in,
Century Code that permits the county to do that.
well, I think that needs to be looked into, because I can only imagine the amount of expense that this property owner had to do just so that he could put up a pole barn or whatever he is on property he already owns adjacent to his primary lot.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I've seen these before in my business, and it's a lot of money to do this stuff. And we're sitting there, we're being kind of a hindrance on allowing this stuff to do. And so I guess I struggle that it's in the Century Code that we have to do this. I would say local control is best, and we should figure out a way. This is already down behind us, but we should figure out a way, if it makes sense and it can be done administratively, let's stop the bleeding of these individuals for just making stuff that just doesn't make any sense. If it's questionable, yeah, make it go through the process. But here, this is kind of a no-brainer. I guess what happens if you own lot 1, I own lot 3, lot 2 is vacant, and you and I decide we want to purchase lot 2 together, do a lot split so we each can put up an accessory building? What's the requirement there?
Well, there again, you'd have to replat those.
Okay.
Now, there is an ability, the Century Code does allow for if I own lot 1 and you own lot 2, I can do administrative lot line adjustment. But as I said, I had asked, and it was Amanda's Ms. Engelstad's predecessor, who said that there's nothing in the Century Code that would allow the county to do this. So we can look into. I can ask the state's attorney's office to look into this again and get an interpretation.
Okay, repeat what you just said. If you own 1 and I own 2 and you want part of 2, we can administratively do that.
We can move a lot line for that.
That's just convoluted to me, but why we can't, if you own 1 and I own 3 and you own 2, why we can't do it that way? But if you own 1, I own 2, we can do that administratively, but in this situation, we force these individuals. I mean, I can only imagine the engineers don't work very cheap. I can only imagine the administrative expenses these people went through to do this. So, and I have not visited with them. I'm just going based on personal experience from prior transactions. So
Common sense.
we need to figure this out. Yeah. If it's a no-brainer, let's do it administratively and not force these individuals to do this kind of stuff. So, okay, I'll shut up.
Now, that's fine. I mean, we can ask a legal opinion. You know, we can ask a legal opinion and find out if, you know, if the county has the ability to do that or not, so. I've
Mr.
been
Massey,
told
if I'd like
this point
to
not.
add to that, so they hire an engineer to do the survey, and then we hire an engineer to review what that other engineer did? Is that how this thing plays out?
Yes, at the applicant's expense.
I mean, you would think the first engineer could make that on his own, but, you know, they're actually getting double whammy there. I get it.
That's my point.
Well, honestly, when the reviewing engineers look at it, they do catch things. They do catch things that,
Yeah, and I can see that on bigger deals, a totally new subdivision, an industrial or a commercial application, you want, you know, more sets of eyes on that application. But when you have this kind of deal where it's a no-brainer, we should help these people rather than hinder them, so.
we'll ask, we can ask the state's attorney to look into that. Pardon? I shall.
Okay, any other discussion on that? If not, I'll look for a motion on this request.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve application MSP 0524, creating the minor subdivision plat of Buffalo Heights second subdivision.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
A second. Any other discussion? Roll call vote then. Commissioner Claris,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner White.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Steve, did you want to mention the public hearings we're gonna have coming up in planning and zoning tour?
Yes, in planning and zoning. So at the next Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, there'll be there'll be two public hearings. One of them will be a public hearing on the comprehensive plan. And then there'll be another one because the flood insurance rate maps have been updated by FEMA. The county needs to approve that so that there is the effective date. It's essentially just changing the effective date
Can you,
that's currently in there.
What are your dates?
dates, yeah.
Oh, it's gonna be,
So those that watch this can,
June 27th,
June
right?
27th is
June 27th at 3:00, and we'll post that, may do special notice for that, so. And we may have a rezone and subdivision plat for that. I'm waiting for a potential applicant to get that in.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You want to take a break or we want to move on? Okay,
Let's go play pickleball.
fine with that or fine with moving on or?
I'm fine with moving on.
Okay. Emergency management then. Ms. Decker, then. You good?
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Elena Decker, Emergency Manager for Stark County. Just kind of want to give you a summary of what May gave us. All community lifelines are stable right now. County fire report, we've had 39 control burns, no gas leaks, 2 bonfire calls, 2 brush fires, 2 vehicle fires, 4 calls for smoke smells, 1 structure fire. That structure fire was in Belfield. And then 5 that fell into miscellaneous categories, totaling 55 calls this month. We are up to 8 wildfires within Stark County. We've had 24 acres burned so far. We've had 2 potential severe summer weathers that's kind of threatened the county. First one was May 17th. We were called for damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour with 1 inch hail. Peak wind speed, which was recorded at the airport, was 39 miles an hour, gusts of 28, and I had no reports of any damaging hail. The last one was on May 29th, which called for wind speeds up to 70 miles per hour with ping-pong-sized hail. Got up to 45 miles an hour, gusts of 29, and no reports of damaging hail. We were on the border of the damaging hail, Beach got the biggest impact. They had ping pong sized hail with 70-mile-per-hour wind. I watched video of it. It was pretty brutal. They had a lot of damage. So I just want to point this out because this is why it's so important to sign up for the community alerts that we have available, because when stuff like this happens, we'll activate the sirens, but if people aren't hearing them or they're inside, they're not, designed to be heard inside, people have no idea what's going on, we can reach people via other methods. So how this works, the citizen alerts, we can send you notifications. The idea behind it is I try various methods to reach you, either by calling you, texting you, or emailing you, and hopefully one method reaches you. And these are geolocated, so if it's not impacting your location, you shouldn't get the message. You're just going to go on to the Everbridge and create an account. You're going to fill out your information. Your information is kept confidential. No one has any access to it except me, and it's locked down via passwords and multi-factors, so I'm the only one who can see it. And then if you ever wish to stop receiving notifications, you just remove your information. Or you can contact me at my office and I'll remove your information for you. You have the choice to sign up for weather notifications as well. Those come from the National Weather Service. They'll issue watches and warnings and you'll get those automatically. And you can set up time frames, so if you don't want to be woken up at 2 in the morning, because I'll tell you a lot of weather notifications come at 2 in the morning, you can set that time frame. So if you want to sign up online, you'll go to the Stark County website under the emergency services, and then once you click on our page, it's the first thing you're going to see. There's a link right there. It takes less than 5 minutes to sign up. And just make sure if you're moving that you're updating your information. And then lastly, I just wanted to throw this out there for any parents, guardians, daycares, summer camps. I have some preparedness material available in my office for free. If you give me some numbers, I can hand some out to anybody who's interested. The disaster preparedness activity book and the extreme heat with Prepare with Pedro, I do have available in Spanish, so I can give those out on request. I have limited numbers, but I'll give out what I can. And I'll take any questions. Sorry, I was talking really fast.
Any questions?
Yeah, I would just
Very interesting.
Thank you.
throw it's not your emergency management, but as the IT committee, which you sit on, we've been discussing this whole JDA for dispatch. That's kind of in play right now. Can you just walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so currently with the City of Dickinson, we've had just kind of a verbal agreement with our dispatch center of how we split the costs. I receive the 911 fees for the county, so I use those 911 fees directly back into dispatch. 100% of those funds go into dispatch. We don't use them for anything else. And we've decided we kind of want to put it in writing. And so by putting it in writing, we're kind of, there's no questions of why have we always done it this way. It's this, we have it written down. And in doing so, I've proposed to create a dispatch board, essentially, with members of the county and then members of the city. Anyone who receives dispatching services, I want to have, be able to have a voice in kind of what happens in dispatch, because everything that happens in dispatch affects them, so they should have some kind of say or opinion in things. So the city was very receptive of that, and we're going to be going forward with that soon.
Well, I appreciate your persistence on this matter, because I think it was really good to propose that, and I think the makeup of that board is going to be good.
Yeah, I'm glad the city was very open to doing that. I think we're going to have some good working relationships, going forward. That's kind of been my goal when I took this position, was to have a good working relationship with all the entities in Stark County, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job so far. I haven't made any enemies.
If you haven't made any enemies, you're not doing a good job.
If I have, they haven't said anything to me yet, so.
Okay.
Any questions?
Elena, I had a question. We had talked about the storm shelter. I had a couple calls and messages about storm shelters from especially trailer park residents of this last event. Is there anything planned for that?
We're gonna start looking in the area for any ideas though we've had, we and my deputy have discussed some possible options. Shelters are tricky, but I think it's definitely something that's essential for the south side, especially for the trailer parks. They don't have basements they can get to. They have been affected by a tornado in the past, so it's something we have to look at. So we are going to start looking at that. I'm sure everyone's seen the news around the country. It's kind of a rough year for summer weather. North end, I want to say south of Jamestown, just yesterday had 2 tornado touchdowns. South of Fargo, it was near Kindred. Kindred had a funnel cloud, so we are kind of getting the potential in this area. We're seeing a lot of high winds, so it is something we need to, I think, look at an option for. But no, currently I don't have any options at this time, no.
I was just trying to rack my brain and remember what we'd done in the past, and other than the armory, I couldn't remember. I wasn't sure why we didn't use the schools, if they were agreeable to doing that or not. But.
Yeah, and I can speak with the schools. I've already talked to them about being warming shelters, and they've all agreed to that. So I can speak to them on the storm shelters. The tricky part is when we're outside of the school season, it might be harder to get into the building. But in an emergency, I mean, I worked fire for 9 years. I can get into a building if I need to. So.
Would the armory be an option? I guess it's a little further north, but
I think it's kind of in disarray right now. I think it's what they have going on, but.
Yeah, I think ideal would be somewhere down south, but I think the 2 buildings we were thinking when we thought back to the tornado both got taken out by the tornado, so we were like, maybe not great, but yeah, it's on our radar for sure. We're actually looking at, because right now the airport's the only way to measure our weather impact right now is the speeds I was able to give you guys on my previous slides. Those came from the airport because that's the only detection I have in Stark County. We would like to put some small weather radars on all the sirens that are in Belfield, South Hart, Richardson, Taylor, Gladstone, so that when we see these impacts, we can really get a better picture of what's affecting the whole county rather than just a smaller portion. We're looking for the one with the most beneficial, but not too costly. We think we found some good options, so we're going to look at that, and you guys might hear me coming up for a proposal for those.
Are there any grant dollars available for things like that?
Yes and no. We found a weather grant, but then talking to the state, it's more like a loan. So it is an option.
I would think it'd be pretty. I mean, the weather can be a lot different at the airport than Belfield.
Exactly, yeah, and we depend on information if we're going to activate our sirens or not. So the city may be only seeing peak winds of 39 miles an hour, but Gladstone or Richardson may be seeing 60, 70. So we kind of rely on people right now to be giving us that information. But if we had a way to track it and alert us, it would be way better. So I think we have some good options, and I think they're not too costly. So.
Okay, anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next to do the courthouse entrance door upgrade, Mike.
Did you guys get your sheets, Bernie? Did you get your sheet? Okay. So that's to change out the Wi-Fi scanners that are on each of the 4 doors, the 3 front doors in the back, put new closures on and change the pins on the back door to a different pin system, latching system. And then ETS with the construction upgrade, that's a wash, that's all paid for. We're gonna actually put hard wired in scanners and direct
latching system on those doors. We're not changing the doors. We're just going to upgrade the seals, patch the old scanner holes with some plates, and put some new crash bars on, which is expensive in itself.
And just tell us why, you're making this
Oh,
recommendation.
and we can take it out of capital improvements instead of my budget.
But why are we, make the recommendation of why
Why the
we're doing
reason?
this? The reason we're
Because
doing
that
it.
back door is shot. I mean,
Currently, you're
you can
adding,
no longer, okay, so 8, 9 years ago when we did this security upgrade, it was put in this Wi-Fi system and these handles. These handles no longer, you can no longer get parts for them. The springs are shot in those handles. You can't get the springs, you can't get parts, you can't. So it just needs to be converted over to something more economical and
and that back door's not hardwired in, correct?
no, it's all
So you're
wired.
constantly charging batteries and,
Oh, batteries.
replacing
and
batteries.
Lose power, you lose communication, we lose what's, saved on for data. It's gotta get reprogrammed, which is a special programmer, cause it's high security doors. It's just been pain ever since day one, but we'd like to get it
Need a motion for that?
capital improvement if we wanna take
Yeah.
it out.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we approve the estimate from Viking Glass for $20,430. I would attach that we pay this through capital improvements. We did get almost $12,000 back on the HVAC, or we've stayed under budget 12,000, so we could use that, and an additional approximately 8,000, whatever's left. So that's my motion.
I'd second that.
Motion and a second, any other discussion? Not, roll call, Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Claris.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner White.
aye?
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Can I have you sign that, Dean, and I'll fax it?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Leffler KC gambling authorization. It's actually from Region Development Corporation.
That'll be, one second. Okay, so this is our one gaming authorization that Stark County has currently, and it's out in Leffer. And Regent Development Corporation runs that gaming location. They have 21, not too often, they said at this point, like maybe twice a year. But then they also have their pull tab machines, etc. They're looking for their yearly renewal.
Mr. Chairman, I would move we approve the application for the Region Development Corporation at the Leffer KC site.
That's second.
A motion and a second, any other discussion? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next we have the Eagles Special Beer and Liquor License Permit.
Yeah, so we have a couple permits to sell alcohol beverages at a couple different events at our fairgrounds. Eagles turned them in. We have the Rough Rider Days Rodeo. And then we have the Rough Rider Days Demolition Derby. The Rough Rider Days Concert. And then the last one that was turned in, that was the last one. So there's 3 altogether. If anybody had any questions about them, please let me know, but I need commission approval to sign off on these and get them sent to the state.
Move to approve the Eagle Special permits and liquor permits for Rough Rider Days, the 3 permits that they're requesting.
Okay, a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second. Any other discussion? All in favor state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, we have our one of our meetings is scheduled for November 5th, 2024 is actually election day, so that's gonna be a conflict for the auditor's office, so I'd look to motion to change that date. I'd probably look at, would Thursday work better, the 7th?
Yeah, November 7th would be kind of the only option we really had in there, if you guys are willing to change it, because my office probably will not be here on presidential election day, so, well, they won't be in this room.
I'd move the November standard date to November 7th from the 5th.
We're moving from the 5th to the 7th. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's whatever you said, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Second,
No, you changed it to the second? No, I'm just messing with you.
okay. All in favor, state the change of the meeting to the November 7th, 2024, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next, Joetta, you want to hand this to the Vector Board, or your applicants, you want?
Joetta Piercy, Human Resources. We have a vector control board opening, and we received 2 applications for this. And do you have those in your packets? Yes. So I would look for a
One
recommendation.
position.
Just one position, yes. It's to fill, the person in the position moved out of the county. And it's good through July 2026, I believe.
And both this, there's zones for these, and both of these applicants are in that zone. Or
Not for
district,
the
I should say.
vector, not for the vector control.
Oh, vector control, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not the weed
Yep.
board.
They definitely don't have zones.
Okay.
Yeah, just for
I
the whole
thought this was
county.
weed board, I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Do you know the current people that are on the vector control? Do we have anybody from the Belfield area on vector control board?
I don't know where they live.
Because it's 2 other members.
It's
right?
Holly Prouse, correct?
Yeah, Holly's one of them.
And the other person, I believe, is from the Richardson area.
I think Holly lives in Dickinson, correct?
Just east of town.
Yeah.
And Bridget Lewis is in charge of the vector control board.
Okay, I guess we have the one opening. I'd look over a motion to appoint one of those individuals for the position.
Have you chosen one for the position? Or these are the only 2 applicants?
These are
These
the
are the
only 2
2 applicants.
applicants, and we just received them on, last week, Friday. Was it Friday, or maybe it was Wednesday, Thursday?
Guess we can appoint.
So I
her.
don't know if anyone has had a chance to maybe visit with Bridget.
I said if you, either that or we can appoint somebody to interview these people, I guess, too, for the position.
Have you had any conversation with either one of these applicants yet?
No, I typically don't have anything to do with board appointments. I collect the applications and then I give them to the commission. But I'm sure Bridget would be, willing to visit with.
She should probably be part of the, if there's gonna be interview,
Correct,
which I would
yeah,
think
that
there'd
would
be.
be good. That would be good.
She would be the,
I think that would be appropriate, right? Have
What's that?
the director interview and give us her recommendation.
I think they had we didn't have any applicants. And then those
Yeah,
board
it
members.
closed on May 27th and we had nothing, so I called Bridget. And so then I think she reached out to a few people, to encourage them to apply. And so then we received 2 applicants.
So whose portfolio is this?
I don't know.
What's that?
Does anyone
Off the
have?
top of my head, I don't think anybody
I
has
don't think we
vector
have it.
control.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I guess I would look at, they have current members in it and someone for the commission on a board to interview the 2. That my recommendation.
I think that makes sense.
Anybody want to volunteer?
I thought you were volunteering.
Yeah.
I'll volunteer then, okay, since it's my suggestion. Okay,
Thank you.
you want to make a motion for that then, or? I'll make a motion that we have the current board and myself interview the 2 applicants. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Okay. Next, we have Prairie Horizon Energy Solutions. Morning.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Commission. My name is Kate Klossner. I'm with Marathon Petroleum. And so first, just a little update about Marathon Petroleum, and then we can talk about Prairie Horizon. So Marathon Petroleum Corporation, we're the largest refiner by capacity across the U.S. We have 14 refineries in 13 states, 2 of them here in North Dakota. So we've one in Mandan and one here in Dickinson. A note, if you heard news about Marathon last week, that was Marathon Oil. They are the ones that pull the crude out of, that is not us. So ConocoPhillips did not buy us last week. We also have interest in MPLX, which is our logistics company. That's storage tanks, rail cars, marine assets. That's what moves the product. And then we also have interest in ethanol plants across the country, a pre-treatment plant in Nebraska, and as you probably know, a crush plant here in Spiritwood. So that's a little bit about Marathon. And so today I'm here to talk about Prairie Horizon Energy Solutions. And Prairie Horizon is a proposed joint venture between us, Marathon Petroleum, and TC Energy. We, I think, visited with you probably last fall was the last time that you saw us in an official capacity. And my colleague from TC, Taylor Energy, she does have a lot of energy. Taylor Snap has probably visited with each of you over this course. And so we just wanted to give you a project update because I think last fall we were still very much in the application to the Department of Energy process. That process closed. The hub, the hydrogen hub, Heartland, which is a 5-state collaboration, was granted a DOE grant last fall. And so that was announced, I want to say in November of last year. And so we are still very much in the development and proposal stage, working with the Department of Energy to finalize that grant. There's some negotiations that go along with that. And then looking at what our project could and will potentially look like. And so part of that project, part of that whole hub is what's called Prairie Horizon Energy Solutions. And that's the piece that TC and MPC are working on together. That's the piece that would be here in Stark County. And that is a proposed hydrogen production facility that would be adjacent to our refinery out off 116th, just south of 110. And that hydrogen facility could be used for industrial uses, ag uses. Right now, there are still no offtake agreements. And so we are looking at the production of hydrogen through dual technologies. We've really narrowed it down to probably be using a natural gas type technology. So that natural gas would be pulled from in-state, and it could be either put on rail or used at a place like a refinery across the state. So we last year did a community meeting here at the BAC. Many of you came, so thank you for coming to that, to learn more about the project. And then recently, we have been doing some landowner outreach in the Gladstone and Leffer area because the next stage of the proposal is carbon capture at that hydrogen facility that would then be put into about a 20-mile pipeline that would go to the Leffer area and be sequestered underground in the Leffer area. And so we have had land agents speaking to landowners, getting their permission to survey. At this point, we're still very much in the early stages of land surveying and pore space seismic activity. That should take place later this summer. And so to do all that, we of course need landowner permission, and we want them to know as much about the project as we know. And so we recently had some community meetings there, I want to say 2 weeks ago, although time flies, so it could have been longer ago than that. And then our land agents are working, are working with each landowner, each house, knocking on doors and having a lot of conversations. So we're happy to announce that we have had many of those conversations along the pipeline route. About 70% so far have approved that surveying work on their land. We are still working on the seismic piece that, of course, includes about 280 different landowners. And so we have been in touch with almost all of them at this point. And that would allow us to go in and perform the seismic. If you've ever seen seismic, they go in and have a big vibration machine. And so our partner in this project is the EERC out of UND. They are actually the lead, and they led the application through the DOE, and they've led the whole hub. And they have done an excellent job working with us and doing education. And so we plan to do another big community event and education session here back in Dickinson later this summer. So we're trying to work it between Rough Rider Days and, of course, fairs and all those things, so that as many people as possible can come, learn more about the project, learn more about the technology, the safety, and all of the pieces that we care about, and we hope that our landowners care about as well. And so please stay tuned for that. But I'm happy to answer any questions at this point. And we will just keep you updated as it goes along. We have no asks at this point. We just wanted to give you an update because we hadn't seen you in an official capacity in quite some time.
So, Kate, one of the questions that come up, I know, being involved in the Richardton's carbon storage facility, what determines, I know the ERC takes and they're rocket scientists, literally.
Truly, yeah.
So what determination or what decision-making process tells you to move 18 to 20 miles southeast of the facility rather than closer to the facility? The pipeline in Richardton's less than a mile long.
Yeah.
And obviously pipelines are a hot topic issue. So what's that decision-making process? I know you're still doing research. I know so if you want to expound on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing I will tell you about this project and about any project that we undertake, safety is our core priority, hands down. We would not do it if we did not think that we could do it safely, full stop. And so when we look at something like this, we look at safety, of course, with pipelines. We look at how we can conduct the surveys, all of those things. And it's my understanding, not being an ERC rocket scientist or even a geologist, that pore space there's optimal pore space. And so when you're looking at capturing carbon, you want to ensure that it's captured in a way that it is underground forever. And so finding that optimal pore space doesn't always line up exactly where your project is. You have to go out and find the place that has the optimal pore space that would capture the carbon underground, definitely.
So preliminary geology of that area is optimum?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So the soil down, how deep is that?
Well, I'm so glad you asked, because that reminds me that I also brought these handouts that will give you some more information. I'm sorry, I thought I had one that had the sequestration. Oh, I do. So it is deep. Let me look at it real quick.
That's fine.
This talks a little bit more about what that seismic survey looks like, what that process that they will undertake this summer. And again, it doesn't say exactly on here, so I will get you an answer to how deep it would be.
So that's more porous.
It's very, very deep underground where it is porous.
So the pipeline's all underground, and so it just deadheads there into this, and or is this perforated pipe then to go out?
That's a good question that I don't, but I don't quite know how where that intersection
Yeah.
lies.
What Richardson did was the pipeline goes to the injection well, but there's a pressure pump.
It would have to be pressure, but
They pressurize it to put it down, and at Richardson, it's the Broomfield or whatever Creek Formation, whatever it's called, is between 5,200 and 5,800 feet.
and
below
then,
ground.
but it's still gotta be a lot of cubic feet all the way around, because
Yeah,
you're gonna
they're-
be pumping a lot of,
And I was gonna ask, if you don't know the question, that's fine, how big of a area and how much CO2 annually you're thinking you might produce?
So the area that we are doing the seismic survey on is about a 10 square mile area. Like I said, it's about 260 landowners. Not all of that will be optimal. Fine, that's why we do the surveys, right? To figure out exactly where it would go.
so then what would be the lifespan of this?
Well, number one, you want the carbon to stay there underground forever.
Right, yeah, no,
But
I'm-
how is
till
your
it's full.
question? How long until? How long would they be?
And how do you know when it's full?
Geologists will tell us. I'm sorry.
Pressures will tell you.
Yeah.
Right,
And in Richardson, they have monitoring wells.
okay.
Around, they.
Well, it's very
leased up-
interesting, so.
Yeah, they leased up 4,400 acres, a little smaller, because I'm sure they don't produce the carbon that you do. And then they have these wells, and the wells will sensitize when the carbon gets to them.
Right.
Cool. I think it's interesting.
Your timeline was probably construction's looking at probably 2026, with completion around 2029, is that right for the?
Correct. That's what the preliminary estimates look like at this point. And so, as I mentioned, at this point, we are still in negotiations with the Department of Energy to sign the final contracts for the grant. That would provide sort of that next step of the finances to move forward with the project. And so we will continue developing. And as you've probably heard, just even over the last year, this project continues to develop and have some changes, as all projects do. And so, and then we are looking at, construction in the 2027 range and startup in the 2029 range.
So when are they gonna start doing the seismographing?
Later this summer, we're looking at late July at this point.
So they'll need road permits and to move equipment?
Yep, and we, I think, have already started those discussions.
I've been in contact with them, and I think the first test well is gonna be drilled this summer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Over by Leffer?
Yep.
Yep. If you don't know where it is, it's just east of Leffer, 1 mile, right, and 1 mile off Enchanted Highway, right in the corner there.
So does that well have to be permitted with the NDIC?
It does, and go through the PSC.
Okay. Gotcha. So is there gonna be, I mean, you're gonna create hydrogen. From what I understand, there's not gonna be really a market for the hydrogen initially. Is there gonna be a pipeline to store hydrogen as well, or?
No, so that's a good question. Thank you. There is not a plan to actually store hydrogen. The initial plan is to have offtake agreements for all of the hydrogen when it is produced. And so that is a piece of this development process that's still ongoing.
So is hydrogen a very volatile substance?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay, I didn't think that it was, but I'm sure that people that are watching this and safety concerns with
Sure.
that, you said very safety conscious, somebody's gonna ask that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And hydrogen is currently being produced at our refinery, just right off 116th. So hydrogen is used in lots of industrial applications very safely. And so we and many other companies have a great track record of producing hydrogen, storing hydrogen, using hydrogen, moving hydrogen.
Well, my own personal opinion is I think hydrogen is gonna be the energy of the future, so I'm glad that
Bold
we're
statement.
part of that.
There are a lot of potential uses for hydrogen, and that is why the Department of Energy is putting so many resources into a project like this, because at this point, it's a very expensive process. And so, but there are so many potential uses, and as with any type of new energy, it's getting companies to get over the hump to start making it, and
Bring
then
in new technologies to make
bringing
it
into new technologies.
more affordable.
Exactly.
Do you know if, like the Department of Transportation, we've been looking at electric vehicles, hydrogen. What kind of interest have they taken into it? Do you know of any?
They're not part of the process at this point, although I know that they have undertaken their own look at hydrogen and how hydrogen will be used in transportation, like in long haul trucking, et cetera.
Just one last question. We talked about grants, and there was the state grants which were split, and then you turned down a portion of that money. Can you expound on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for that question. So as many of you know, that this project applied for a clean, sustainable energy or a grant from the state that would produce fertilizer, in-state fertilizer, through the use of electrolysis, and that. Pardon me, grant was underwritten by the Clean Sustainable Energy Authority, although separate from their funding. Prairie Horizon was granted $75 million and ultimately turned it down because of that provision that would have required electrolysis. And so the goal of this project is to produce hydrogen and any byproducts, including fertilizer, at a cost that is at parity. It's low carbon fertilizer, it's low carbon ammonia. So what we're looking at is we want to get it as close to what is currently on the market as possible. There are many that aren't going to pay a higher price just because it's lower carbon, right? And so as we look at economics of the project, one thing that's really stood out is that the technology that we are honing in on has better economics at the long run. So the natural gas usage, it allows us to use in-state resources for an in-state product. And so the electrolysis portion is being minimized to a point that we didn't meet the requirements. And although we have not, again, we're still very much in the development of the project, even though we have not fully landed on what that's going to look like, we knew that as this continues to develop, we didn't think that we qualified in the same way that we did when we first applied.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. I have more questions, but I think I'm going to wait till there's a public. You guys are going to do some more public.
We are, yeah. We're going to do another public meeting this summer. We're just trying to narrow down a date.
Really interested about the electrical power you're going to need and where you're going to get enough water to do all this stuff. But that's.
Yeah.
It's different than what we were talking about here, so.
And if I could just highlight the water, because I know that that's a huge concern in southwestern North Dakota, especially with projects like this. We had originally looked at more water usage, and we're really looking at water because of this change in technology and change in scope that we are now currently sort of narrowing in on. Electrolysis would have used so much more water. This technology that we will be using will use much less water. So we are maybe in a different place on that than we were 6 months ago. And I think that alleviates a lot of concerns on both ends.
But hydrogen comes from water, right?
It can, yep. But it can be produced using different technology. That's why you have blue hydrogen, green hydrogen, gray hydrogen, brown hydrogen. There's too many to lay. It can be produced by using a lot of different technologies, and that's the piece of our development of our project that we're still tailoring and still narrowing down.
What category of hydrogen are you looking at producing? Is it the blue or?
Blue at this point, yes.
Very interesting.
On the water issue, does the city not have enough reclaimed water coming through their line to supply what you need?
Because we don't need what we thought we would need, we actually have not gotten to a final decision on where it would have come from if it were at that higher number.
Yeah, because that big reclaimed water line goes right through your plant and out the other way.
Okay. Thank you for your
Thank you.
presentation. Thanks.
That was great. Thank you.
Mr. Jordan, you missed your allotment, but do you have some for us?
Come back next month.
After the 4th.
After the 4th.
After the 4th of July.
In my defense, I was told I'd be on about 10:30, so I thought I'd come at 10 and be early.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Brent Jordheim. I live at 37th Street East in the Rochelle subdivision. You probably all know where it's at, just on the edge of town. I'm here asking you for your consideration to extend the City of Dickinson fireworks ban to our subdivision, which lies in the ET zone of Dickinson. The Rochelle subdivision and now the new Broken Acres next to it, that's going to be developed as time goes, allows for horses and livestock. Currently, there's about 10 properties in our subdivision that have horses. Personally, we've had horses in our location for 36 years. That's how long I've been living in my house out there. And unfortunately, every year the fireworks get bigger and more traumatic for our horses. Nobody's horses can escape this extreme loud light show. Last year, multiple people, including the property owners adjacent to our property, set off the kind to go 100 feet in the air and emit multiple blasts over the course of many hours and multiple days surrounding the 4th of July. On the evening of the 4th, I went up on the street. I counted 12 cars parked in front of that property's location that apparently came to view in their commercial light show they put on. Safety of the horse and livestock needs to be prioritized. Most horses are completely panicked, and our concern is not if they will be injured, but when they're going to be injured and how bad. Homes in the Rothschild subdivision are no further apart than a lot of homes within the city. Each lot is 2 acres, but our lots are 125 feet wide, 630 feet long. So if your house is on the west end of your lot and somebody else on the east end of your lot, you're within spitting distance of the next house. The burnt bits and pieces from the fireworks, these huge fireworks, come falling down on everybody else's properties. You can't control it to fall down on your 125 feet you got. We've had property damage ranging from burnt grill covers to patio furniture melted to lawnmower seats melted, Ranger UTV seats, and who knows what else we haven't found. I'm asking for your consideration to I'm asking you for consideration for this request to disallow fireworks in the subdivision. If you got any questions, I can answer them as a concerned landowner citizen.
Isn't Rothschild in the ETZ?
What?
It is, yes.
Rothschild is in the ETZ.
Yes, yes,
So
we're in the
I
ETZ.
don't know, but doesn't their rules and regulations apply? to
I
any-
called and asked, and they told me no.
The county doesn't have the authority to do that. You have to work under the Century Code. And so the county is not going to have the opportunity, unless it's your own property, because we're not a home rule charter, to enact any ordinance that would disallow that.
I just find it amazing that the city can control you under certain aspects of the ETZ, but not fireworks.
That's my
This
question, too.
It should be all encompassing.
I would like to be covered. If we want to build a deck, we have to ask permission, and we should be covered under the same rules, I think. But the horses are the main thing. Nowadays, a horse costs $10,000 for a decent one, and that's a big vet bill if it gets hurt. So
Valid concern.
And I think the root cause is I live in the center of town, and my whole house rattles when fireworks go off. And I've lived in the same house for 14 years, and fireworks nonstop throughout the year. You get them in July, you get them in New Year's. I think the root cause is the size of these fireworks, and you can put a ban on them. There's a ban in the city limits, but they're nonstop as well.
yeah, I did call the sheriff last year when it was happening, and I could barely hear from the stuff going on. But they said there was nothing they could do, and I'd hate for somebody to take it in their own hands to try to stop it. That'd be a bad deal, but.
So we as a county, since we're not a home rule charter, we can't create an ordinance, is what you're saying? Is there anything to do with fire bans?
If there's a fire ban at the time, then you could look at that under the fire ban, but there's no authority for the county to just outright ban fireworks, other than obviously your property that the county has control over.
So do you agree that the ETZ does not cover fireworks?
I'd have to look at it. I don't know that it does or not.
It's the city of Dickinson.
I mean, the ETZ controls everything else.
I thought
But it
the
controls, like, the
ET zone
zoning.
was just planning and zoning
So
purposes.
it would be like
But you
Not
could have
other
you could-
ordinances.
Yeah, maybe.
it would be like asking the city of Dickinson to take criminal jurisdiction in the ETZ. That's not going to happen. That would be Corey's jurisdiction.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I
thank
guess-
you. That's my
Thanks for your
concern.
comments. I guess if a fire ban comes on, then we might have something that we can do with it, but other than that, we won't be able to do anything with it.
It's
Oh, really?
another reason to be home rule.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thanks for your comments.
See what happens this year. Stay tuned.
Okay. Anything else we missed? If not, I look for a motion to adjourn.
So
Motion Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.